All right, 5 South Carolina Gamecocks drafted in the 2025 NFL Draft, with 6 more so far signing undrafted free agent contracts invited to minicamp, plus Lenore Sellers being compared to Cam Ward for next year's way too early mock drafts. Locked On Gamecock starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I am your host, Chris Marler, and I hope everyone is having a fantastic Monday, as I always say, if that's even possible. We got a great show for you today, talking about all things South Carolina athletics, but mainly focusing on the NFL draft, talking about the 5 players drafted, all the players that signed undrafted free agent things, why that's a good thing for several of them not to be drafted on day 3. Also, early projections for 2026, comparing Lenore Sellers to Cam Ward, this year's number 1 overall draft prospect. We talk about all that. Before we do, want to say thank you to everyone making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, guys, we're a free and available podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn on any TV and immediately turn it into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Let's get into the actual content for today and talk about the draft and recapping it. Now, not a crazy day, by all means, but for at least for Sunday, right? We talked about the historic day you had for day 2. Saturday, by the way. We talked about the historic day you had in day 2, where in the second and third round you had 3 players drafted, all in the top 50 of the NFL draft. 3 former 3-stars that you have turned into top 50 draft picks. An incredible job by this staff. One person that did not get enough love on that episode, and also didn't get enough love. I should have tagged him in the tweet and all that kind of stuff, because like I told you guys, Darren Ursher retweeted some of the, like Mike Fury and Shane Beamer and a few other people on staff saw it, which was really, really cool, just to be honest. It was really cool for me. But Clayton White not being on that was a massive miss by me. It was something I didn't think about. But you look at the I didn't even know he had Twitter, to be honest. But you look at what he's been able to do in terms of development and what in the fit that you're bringing into. That's like one thing I think that people don't talk enough about. We talk a lot about it in the NFL, but we also don't talk enough about it in college, where it's like you have a ton of guys that can come out and be 4- and 5-star guys. But if they go to a program where it's not a great fit for them in whatever scheme they're running offensively or defensively, that can be a big, big miss for a number of reasons. As you guys know, you guys are a smart audience. Everyone knows the ins and outs of that part of it. But you talk about what this staff has consistently been able to do. I think it's easier to say, like we talk about Kirby Smart and Nick Saban and the incredible records they all had putting guys in the NFL draft, right? Saban had some ridiculous thing where it was like, I think he had 47 total first-round draft picks, like 16 total losses or something stupid when he was at Bama. That's insane. Or like at 16, I think, total, and he was like after 2007 or something. I don't know. Kirby Smart is a guy right now who has more total first-round draft picks than losses, right? 20-19. Ryan Day, guy who has more first-round draft picks than losses, like 14-10 in that one. Those are all really impressive stats. I think when you see programs like that who are consistently throwing out, like Ohio State had I believe 12. They had 14 players drafted. It was the most of anyone in the draft. Ohio State is a team that spent $20 million by their own admission, $20 million on last year's class, and that was including the transfer portal and their recruiting class. Now, you got to think about the studs they have in that class. Jeremiah Smith is a legitimate 1-1 guy. Like he will probably be a number 1 overall pick. He's that good. I firmly believe it. But all the other 5-stars you brought in, all the guys you brought in from the transfer portal, Caleb Downs, who's going to be a top 5 pick probably next year. A lot of those guys, both running backs go in the second round in the top 40. That they had Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. Those are all great things. Doing what South Carolina is doing is much more difficult, and building this mindset and this like track record, really a resume of, hey man, these are 3 stars. These are 3 stars that you brought in and built into day 2 draft picks, top 50 overall draft picks, second-round draft picks. The thing that's really cool about this too, and I saw this, our buddy Brad Crawford tweeted it was a phenomenal job. We talked about the other day, Eamon Worry, TJ Sanders, Demetrius Knight Jr., all of them go in day 2 in the top 50 picks. So then your next pick was Kyle Kennard, who went in round 4 at 125th overall. Then you had our buddy Tonka Hemingway. I think it was also in round 4. Man, Tonka Hemingway, I have goosebumps right now talking about Tonka Hemingway. That is a kid that I genuinely loved and admired so much when we talked to him. And I posted a clip of this on our social media. Maybe it was a 5th round. I'm looking at it now. But he's a kid, man. I remember talking to him at SEC Media Days in Nashville in 2023. It was like him, Kai Kroger, and Spencer Rattler were the 3 guys that were there. Rattler has this massive group of people around him, obviously. Kroger didn't have enough, probably. But Hemingway, I went over there and it was like, man, that's kind of surprising that no one is around this kid. And I remember I was sitting like there talking to him, like, what does it mean to play for South Carolina? What does it mean being from like where you're from and then working your way up and now getting to even go to media days and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, one of the coolest things to experience is watching people achieve their dream and kids like being able to believe that they can achieve their dreams. And then watching him get to achieve his, that was just so awesome. And you saw like, listen, I think that's a name that went so overlooked for so long because he had, the production he had out of his position, 4 sacks from a D tackle position is very, very good. But again, TJ Sanders, Demetrius Knight Jr., Nick Eamon Worry, and then, of course, Kyle Kennard. All 5 of those guys were 3 stars out of high school. All 5. Now, Demetrius Knight Jr. was a 4-star out of the portal, top 100 guy. Kyle Kennard, same thing. 4-star, top 100 guy. Those guys came in from other Division I programs, by the way. Remember, like both of them at some point played at Georgia Tech, even though Knight then went to Charlotte and was all-world there. Those are guys that came into your program, and you developed them into really, really strong draft picks. I think that part's huge. The other part of it that sucked, right? Like we talked about this the other day. I just thought we were headed for a surefire, hey, you know what? Like they're going to break their own record because of the people he had drafted. If you would have asked me, all right, here's the 5 guys they're going to get drafted, okay? Now, you still got Boogie Huntley, you still got you still got Debo Williams, you still got Bam Martin Scott, you got several other guys. O'Donnell Fortune's a guy on there. Gage Larvadane. Like there's so many guys that were still available from you. If you would have asked me who I thought was going to get picked up more than any of them, it would have been Kai Kroger. And he didn't. And it's fine, right? That's fine. I'm reading this as of Monday here, and it's about 3:30 as I'm recording, okay? And I'm looking at the numbers, and some of the players that got picked up so far we have are this. Let's see if we pull this up. Boogie Huntley signs with Miami. Torrey Simpkins, this was a big one. He signed with the Saints. The Saints constantly doing work on their offensive line. Being just honest, I don't think that Simpkins is a good draft prospect. I think he had a lot of struggles. But physically, that's a guy 6'3", 212 that can come in and be a body for you on the offensive line immediately. Gage Larvadane signed with the Browns. That was interesting. Maybe he'll play quarterback. Who knows? Kidding about that. Bam Martin Scott with the local team with the Panthers. Josh Simon with the Falcons, and then Rocket Sanders to the Chargers. Rocket Sanders going undrafted was shocking to me. It was shocking to me. And maybe it shouldn't have been. But when we come back, I'm going to tell you why, even more so than some of the draft picks that went on day 3 or even in day 2, but especially day 3, the undrafted guys that got picked up, like, I think that they might be in an even better position than some of the other players. Just hear me out, and I'll explain why. We'll talk about that when we come back. Locked on Gamecocks continues right after this. All right. Before we get started, do you want to give a quick shout out to our friends at FanDuel? You guys have heard me talk about FanDuel a bunch, and it's a great time now more than ever to sign up with FanDuel today. Why is that? Well, you got a lot of stuff going on. NHL playoffs. I've been dragged into being a Lightning fan in the NHL playoffs. I'm not sure you guys are probably Canes fans, but NHL playoffs, there's really nothing like the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's awesome. There's also the NBA playoffs going on, and right now, FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Because right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if that bet wins. I personally love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. All right, let's get back to it. I teased this before the break, and I want to talk about this for a second because this is something that was, as long as I've been watching sports, and it's something that admittedly I didn't even think about. Hold on, we're gonna move this camera down for a second. That I didn't even think about until recently, and it's a really, really strong point. And that is this: like, you know, we talk about sometimes how like the head coach is going to be defined ultimately by his wins and losses. And we know that like everything falls on the head coach, right? Quarterback play. We'll talk about guys being a bust, how good or bad they are constantly. What we don't ever talk about is, hey man, that quarterback, as great as he was, or as bad as you think he is, or mid as you think he was, like as you see on social media all the time, that guy had like 4 different coordinators in 4 years. Like that's not sustainable or helpful for anybody. It's important to have great coordinators to be successful in the college game, right? Same, I mean, at any level, really, but especially in college. Excuse me. One of the other things that's really important, and I'd never even thought about this, but like you look at the number of draft picks that make an NFL roster, depending on where they get drafted. Just because you get drafted does not mean you are going to even make the team next year. There are plenty of players. We watched at the end of the draft the other day, and it was like talking about like, hey, you know, here's Max Duggan, here's so-and-so, here's so-and-so. And I never thought Max Duggan from TCU was going to be an NFL quarterback necessarily, but he's playing in the, what is it? UFL, I believe. And it's the pro league that's like playing in the spring. I think it's the UFL. Anyway, he is playing in that. And he's like, you know, he's a 6th or 7th round draft pick in 2023. That was only 2 years ago, guys. Like, just because you're drafted does not mean you're a guaranteed roster spot to see how it pans out for 3 to 4 years. Now, if you are a 1st or 2nd or 3rd round pick, yeah, sure, a lot more likely to have that happen. But there's a reason why they have structured these salaries and tied so much to where you were slotted in the draft, especially now with baseball, even you're seeing it, where teams are not going to get hamstrung by where they draft players. Now, with when it comes to some of the players that Carolina had that didn't get drafted, I think that's a perfect place for a lot of these players who have landed. Like, it sucks to not get drafted. Like, the fact Rocket Sanders deserved to get drafted. Josh Simon deserved to get drafted. Those guys are good enough ball players. They should have been drafted. And I think they're both going to end up sticking around, especially Simon, in the NFL for a minute. I really do. I think that they are good enough prospects. They should have been drafted. They weren't. But here's the beauty of when you're an undrafted free agent coming out of college, going to the NFL. You don't have to be tied to whatever team drafted you. The moment that last person's called, Mr. Irrelevant, pick 257, the moment that happens, your agent is working phones and you're trying to figure out like, hey, multiple people are going to try to get you into a camp. Now you get to choose where you want to go. And you look and you think about how that helps with college. Like, I'll give you the best example for the NFL. People love to hate on Bryce Young. Because he's a bust and he's the first overall draft pick and he got benched for Andy Dalton or whatever. Did y'all see the offensive line that he was around? Did y'all see the receivers they brought in before Xavier Legette? They have finally put some stuff around him now. But his first year, they were like, hey, we got you Adam Thielen. We got you a white receiver that was good like 4 years ago. Sick. Like, well, that's awesome, bro. I don't think he was probably firing on all cylinders as a professional quarterback because of what he had around him. if Bryce Young was choosing where he wanted to go, I would guarantee you it wouldn't have been the team that was last in the league with no talent around to throw to. Now, that's not an indictment on what they have now put in front of them. I love Xavier Legette. I love what they did this year, too, in the draft, side note. But my whole point is you now get the choice of where you want to go. There's a lot of players on this list that are going to really good situations, I think, personally. The one that stands out the most, I'll bring up Rocket Sanders first because he's going to the Chargers. And if that's not a guy that Jim Harbaugh will love, I don't know who is. Jim Harbaugh is such a hard-nosed football guy. He's unlikable in a lot of ways. He's also an adult that drinks milk. Side note, if you're doing that and you're over the age of 11, don't. Just don't. That's so weird. So weird to go out as an adult and get milk, unless you're getting ice cream. That's fine. But if you're ordering like a hamburger with milk, I digress. We have lots of other stuff we didn't talk about, but just don't do that. He's a bit of a weirdo, but he's also a huge hard-nosed football guy. You tell me there's not a guy that loves football that watches Rocket Sanders' game and is like not gonna be like, man, I love this kid. This kid's awesome. Like hard worker, does everything he tries to do, battling injuries, comes back from it, loses weight. First thing he does when he gets a chance to go to Columbia, sits around in the Maymester, which I believe they're still called Maymesters, and make sure he stays with his offensive line, starts working out nonstop, drops 15 pounds, all that kind of stuff. Guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, guy that can run between the tackles, guy that has really much better speed now that he's healthy than you really thought. Those are all really positive things that Rocket Sanders can do. I know that the Chargers, I'm pretty sure, let me look this up real quick. I should have already done it. Maybe one day I'll learn my lesson on that, but probably not. So the Chargers draft itself, they brought in, let's see here. Why is it not listed? It's so stupid. The Chargers came in, and I think they got, I believe they got a running back in their draft. I'll double check to be on the safe side. But they did bring in a running back, and it was their first overall pick, Omarion Hampton. No wonder I forgot because it was so many days ago now. But Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, great running back, put up a ton of production. So did Rocket Sanders. And last time I checked, you need multiple guys to carry the rock. At the very least, I think he's going to stick around at least through fall camp, and will be a guy that he will find a spot to land. Like he's good enough to do that. The other one is this, and this one just sticks out to me probably because I'm a Falcons fan and have born and raised in Atlanta. But Josh Simon at tight end landing in Atlanta is so huge. And here's the reason why. This team is no longer financially obligated to Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, I don't think he probably gets a little bit of unfair criticism because he's the highest drafted tight end ever. But what's his problem? Dropping the ball. What's Josh Simon's problem? Not that. If he even has one. Started 11 games last year, had 40 catches, 519 yards, 7 touchdowns. I told you over and over again, that guy was one of the best tight ends in the country. And him going to a spot that utilizes the tight ends or tries to, just doesn't have a guy that consistently catch it is huge. So I love that. I said this earlier, I'm not trying to be negative. I don't think Simpkins will stick around. Boogie Huntley, big enough to get there and stick around. Gage Larvin will be interesting because Cleveland just needs something. They need a spark. And that's a guy that we didn't get to see it as much here last year because he just was kind of in and out of being, I think, 100% for most of the year. But guy came from Miami of Ohio and put up really good numbers. Then he comes here last year, 19 catches, 223 yards and touchdowns. I also think, I know this is updated. Kruger signed somewhere as well, Kai Kruger. And then also I think that Dale Von Campbell will end up somewhere because it's just physically it's stupid that he would not. And you look at the game tape as well, you want to put that on. But here's the thing. It does suck that you fell short of breaking the record. You were ahead of it. I know Mike Yuba was talking about this the other day. You were ahead of the pace that you had last time you had 7 guys drafted, which is great. But I think that is a really, really good spot for a lot of these guys to end up in a situation where they're an undrafted free agent, because what that entails, it sucks not to get drafted. But if you're giving me the option to be drafted in the 6th or 7th round, be tied to whatever team drafted me, and I got to go live in some place like Cleveland, or I hate to say it because it seems like a pretty fun town, but it's cold as hell, Buffalo. If you have to go into a situation that it's not groomed for like success in general, you don't really want to be in vibes wise. Like, I mean, like if you're Rocket Sanders and you get drafted to go play in Buffalo, or as an undrafted free agent, you get to go play in LA. Yeah, I want to go to LA. Like I want to go to LA. So I think that that's a really good spot. And the biggest thing too is that now they get a choice to put themselves in the best situation possible, like all over again. It's kind of like recruiting. They get to put themselves in the best situation possible to go achieve their next dream, which is now they've gotten into the NFL. Now go make a team. Now go make a 53-man roster and try to go get your first paycheck from the NFL, because it's a really cool thing that happened. Regardless, they didn't break the record, but having 12 guys, I think at minimum right now, 12 guys that are going to advance to the next level of football and get to go play professionally is awesome. It's awesome for this program. And again, you go back to what it all means too. The fact that they were all 3 stars, that the ones from that were drafted, and you were able to develop them, it makes it that much easier to go out and get 4 and 5 stars and be like, hey, like we did this with guys that were on paper nowhere near as talented as you're projected to be. Imagine what we could do with you. I think now's the time to strike when the iron's hot, especially with the guys off the edge. That just continues to be one of the most important positions in all of football. Do you want to play across from Dylan Stewart next year? Absolutely. Get in here. Let's go to work. So that is all for today's episode. We're going to have another one later with a special guest, I might add. Make sure you stick around for that. In the meantime, I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Before we go, I do want to have one more shout out to our friends at the Game Time app. There is nothing like an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena. And with the Game Time app, you can be a part of the action from start to finish. And also you can do it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Now, Game Time makes it easy and fast to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Here's why I like Game Time. Last-minute deals save up to 60%. Buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. I got a birthday coming up next Monday. I've been trying to tell the GF we want to go to a baseball game. Yeah, well, guess what? We're not going to buy the tickets until late. That way we can make sure we save the most with our friends at the Game Time app. The all-in pricing means it's no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you get. We love that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply, but create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest priced, guaranteed.